Hi Sugarfoot, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new, please subscribe, and if you're returning, thank you so much. So for this video, I wanted to just talk about the first few months of my pregnancy, which were haywire, hormones all over the place. It was a lot happening. So I found out that I was pregnant on May 8th. That's when I took my pregnancy test. And it was 2 days before Mother's Day, so I decided to announce to my family, my mom. It was a part of her it was a part of her presence, which was, I'll tag that video in here, you guys. My family had the craziest reaction. And after I found out that I was pregnant and I told my family, I booked my appointments. The first appointment was virtual because we were in the middle of a pandemic. And it was just asking, the basic questions about symptoms, your last period, and you find out your expected due date. After that, they booked me an ultrasound. And the ultrasound was just to confirm the actual pregnancy and make sure that it was in the right spot, it was growing correctly. So I went to my ultrasound. Everything was perfectly fine at my ultrasound. Because I was so early on, I was only 9 weeks at my ultrasound. They did the wand. They used the intravaginal ultrasound. And that could have been a trigger, but whatever. 3 days later, I experienced bleeding. And it was like a mucousy blood. It wasn't like a period blood, it was mucousy, and I was cramping a lot, and I kept feeling like I was gonna faint. So in my mind, I'm like, bleeding, cramping, dizzy spells, I'm having a miscarriage. So that day I was able to call my doctor and book an appointment for the following day. And when I went to the appointment, she did an exam. And she basically confirmed what I had already said. I felt like I was having a miscarriage. She was like, yes, this looks like the beginning signs of a miscarriage. So they did blood testing on me to check my HCG levels. And she told me to come back in 2 weeks to do another ultrasound just to make sure that the fetus has expelled itself fully. When I told my mom what the doctor said, she was like, no. She was in absolute denial. She did not want to hear that. For a week after I experienced the first set of blood, I still had strong pregnancy symptoms. And for most people, or for the logic is, if I am having a miscarriage and the fetus is no longer viable, the pregnancy symptoms would stop and your body would continue to try to push the fetus out, or the embryo out. And that wasn't happening. The bleeding had stopped right after my doctor's appointment, and I was still experiencing pregnancy symptoms. So my mom was like, nope, we're gonna schedule an appointment with my doctor. You're gonna go to my doctor and we're gonna get a second opinion. So that's what I did. We went to her doctor, and she asked me a series of questions, and the first thing that she asked was, did they do an ultrasound? I was like, no. She was like, so why would they tell you that you're having a miscarriage if they can't even see what's happening? So the first thing that she did was she did a physical exam. And she was like, well, you feel very pregnant, but we're going to do an ultrasound just to make sure. They also did blood testing there, and they did a P test there. So when I went in for the ultrasound, what they found was, of course, a live baby, or a live fetus, a live embryo, still viable, strong heartbeat, all of that. But they found two other things in my uterus. One was fibroid, and two was a hematoma. So now they're like, did you know you had these things? And I'm like, no, I did not know I had a fibroid or a hematoma. And I'm like, what is a hematoma? That's the next question. She explains that it's like a pocket of blood that collects between the placenta and the uterine wall. And sometimes it'll resolve itself. And she was like, how could they tell you that you're having a miscarriage if they don't even know what is happening inside of you? They didn't do an ultrasound. And how did they not find this on your first ultrasound? my first ultrasound was 3 days before I started experiencing the bleeding. So had they just pointed out that I had a hematoma, their conclusion wouldn't have been that I was having a miscarriage. So they're like, yeah, you're not having a miscarriage. You never were. Your hematoma was expelling some of the blood. So imagine going from thinking you're pregnant, family elation, thinking you're having a miscarriage. Nope, you're not having a miscarriage. It's just a hematoma, all while having wicked morning sickness. So of course, my mom made sure she was in the room during every exam because she wanted to be on top of it. Once she saw the heartbeat, she screamed, okay? Screamed at the top of her lungs. Everyone in the doctor's office heard her. And she started recording. I'm like, oh my gosh, this lady. But yeah. So there was that. Now with the hematoma, it does resolve itself, which usually means it continues to expel blood. So I did experience bleeding about a month later. I experienced some more bleeding. And this time it was like a lot, bright red, a lot of blood. But it was like right after all of that came out, it completely stopped and that was it. And when I went back for another ultrasound just to check, it was gone. Like no hematoma at all. I still have the fibroid, but I don't have the hematoma or the bleeding, and everything is progressing well. That was wicked, okay? That was wicked. And my mom was so upset. She was like, what kind of doctors are these? She was angry, and I completely understand because that is emotional roller coaster to go on, and for someone that's supposed to be certified and qualified and telling you exactly what's going on, yeah, it can be a lot. So that was the first couple months of my pregnancy. And I promise, like the whole time that I was experiencing morning sickness, I'm like, why am I going through this if I'm not even pregnant? I'm having a miscarriage. Why does it feel like this? Why am I so sick? I'm not even experiencing cramps. It's no contraction. Did anyone else, did any of you guys ever have any complications like this or scares like this or anything of that nature? Thank you for watching my video. I'll be posting a lot of pregnancy videos. I'm gonna try to post hair videos, but doing my hair is a battle, like a full uphill battle. So bear with me. And I'll see you guys in the next video.